What I've always done in my own life is say, hey, I might be outperforming somebody, but if I'm not absolutely positively dunking on them, burying them with results, leaving them so far behind, 10x, 20x better than the next person, then I need to keep going. I need to focus on me, building my skill set, and really burying people with results. I actually think the idea of commanding respect is probably the wrong way to think about it. You're really going to be earning respect. You're going to be getting so good at something that you can't be denied. And this is one of those things that I say without judgment. I'm not saying that you're not talented. I'm not saying that you haven't demonstrated competence, but I am saying that if you can be ignored, the only way out of that is to continue to get better, get to the point, show it so many times that it is just self-evident. Now, I'm going to set aside insecurities for a second because it's entirely possible that what you're dealing with is their insecurity. But I never want to give up my power and say, oh, this is just on them. And if you find yourself doing that, I will say hit the brakes right now, because first and foremost, you always want to look at what you could be doing. So there's two things you could be doing. Upping your game, no matter how good you think you are, you're still being ignored. And so if we talk about getting so good that they can't ignore you, then we know that we haven't achieved that yet. And then the second thing you can do is move on. And while I know that is brutally difficult to hear, if we're dealing with insecurities, then that may be the only solution. So first, I want to focus the most of our attention on this idea that you really can get so good that you can't be ignored. And I think a great example of this is Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, if you guys don't know his story, it's such a cool story of somebody who came up working for their father. Their dad, I'm sure, in many ways thought of them the same way, that, he was just a kid. And it got to the point where Gary saw an opportunity for him to do something in a completely different part of the business where he could establish himself. So now it was about an area that his father didn't understand, his father didn't have expertise, and Gary could show with results, point blank, that he was able to do something that his father wasn't. He took their liquor store business from something like $6 million in revenue to, I think, almost $70 million in revenue. I mean, it was extraordinary in a relatively short period of time, just a few years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the kind of thing. There's no way, no matter how insecure the other person is, no matter how they may have their own problems emotionally soothing or staying centered or getting their ego out of the way, whatever the things are that they're dealing with, there's no way to look at those numbers and not say, all right, clearly what he was doing is working. And to me, that is where you have to get. You've got to get to the point where it would just be absurd to anybody looking at that situation to think that you weren't killing it. And what I've always done in my own life is say, hey, I might be outperforming somebody, but if I'm not absolutely positively dunking on them, burying them with results, leaving them so far behind, 10x, 20x better than the next person, then I need to keep going. I need to focus on me, building my skill set, and really burying people with results time and time again, day in and day out, weeks, months, years of performance. Now that begs the question, back to part 2 now, am I investing this insane amount of energy, which is what it is going to require, a level of energy that other people think is crazy, obsession, mental illness, whatever it is that they think about it? You need to make sure that you're applying that level of energy to the place where it makes sense to apply that energy.